In this video, I'm going to demonstrate to you how to troubleshoot your electric iron at home. After this demonstration, you can perfectly service your own iron and solve any problem that your iron develops at home. Very good. So this is an electric iron, this is a steam iron. And I'm going to explain to you the parts that make up the iron and their functions, how each of the parts work, and the possible fault that could happen in an electric iron. And so I have the important parts of the iron here. I'm going to explain each of these parts, how they work, and then what you need to do if your iron is not working. Let me start by explaining the element. This is the heating element of the iron. And actually, this is what makes the iron hot. And so, if there is a break in any part of this element, your iron will stop heating. Now, how will you know if there is a break or not? If you want to test the element to be sure that it's working, you can use a test lamp or an ohmmeter or a multimeter. I am going to use the multimeter. And the multimeter, you set it to continuity. Okay, if you set it to this sound, it means when the element is continuous, you hear a beep or you hear a sound. Okay, and your red light will also show. So that simply tells you that the element is functioning. Okay, so let's check. So this the element from here to here. Okay, so let's see if this element is good. All right, so the sound here tells that this element is working properly. Okay. Then the next thing I will talk about is the thermostat. This is how the thermostat looks. There is a contact here that closes and opens. This contact, close, open. And so this regulator is connected to the thermostat, this part of the thermostat. Okay, so it is used to close or open this contact, and that is used to control the temperature of the iron. Now, this is also automatic. So there is an amount of heat that will make this thermostat cut off on its own. And so if you want to check if it is working properly, then it means that when you regulate it clockwise, there should be continuity between this terminal and this one. And then when you move the regulator anti-clockwise, that continuity should break. And so we are going to check and see if this thermostat is properly working. So first we regulate it, and then we do a continuity test between this terminal and this one. Okay, we can't conclude yet. We have to check by regulating it anti-clockwise. Okay, so it means it's off. When we regulate it clockwise, it's on. Off, on, off, on. The next important element I will talk about is the temperature fuse. This is a thermal fuse. Okay, so what a thermal fuse does is that it cuts off when there is an excessive temperature more than the soul of the iron can take, or more than the element can take. So this one will cut off. So there will not be any power supply to the element. Okay. Now, the same way we have tested the element and the thermostat, the same way we can use to check if the thermal fuse is also functional or not. And so we just carry out a continuity test between the two ends. So one here, one here. And if the fuse is working, you hear your sound and then you know it's working. Okay, so from what I have just done now, I have shown you how to check if any of these elements is working properly or if any of them is faulty. And I also established that if any of these is faulty, your iron will not work. The other thing is the pilot lamp. So this is the pilot lamp. And what this one does is that it tells you if your iron is working properly or not. So anytime there is a problem and your iron cannot heat, this light will not come on. If you want to troubleshoot your iron, you start from the plug. The plug has a fuse in it. And so a possible fault could be that the fuse inside this plug has broken. If the fuse here is off, there will not be any power supplied to the iron and the iron will not work. Now, let's assume that this iron is faulty and we want to troubleshoot it. So the first thing we will do is to check the fuse in this plug. Open the plug, turn it this way so you can get access to the fuse. And this is the fuse in the plug. If this fuse is blown, there will not be any power supply to the iron. So the multimeter is already set and we carry out continuity test on this fuse between here and here. Okay. And as you can see, this fuse is working. All right, so if the fuse is working, then we move on to open the back cover. And the back cover of the iron is secured with screws. So we have to remove those screws. The type of screw that is used, we need this type of screwdriver to remove them. Okay, so we remove the back cover. Make sure you keep the screws very well. We are seeing 5 terminals. But you can see that each of these 5 terminals has a specific role to play. Okay, so for instance, 1, 2, 3 are where the main cables coming from the plug are connected. We want to be sure that all the 3 cables in the cord are continuous from the plug to the iron. We do another continuity test. First, between brown and brown, that is for light. You can see that is continuous. Next, between earth here and then earth there. And we see there is no problem. Then, lastly, blue. Okay, so this tells us that our cord is also okay. Then we move on to open the iron so that we can get access to the elements inside for another testing. All right, so watch. We will have to remove this clamp. So here, if you are a beginner or if it is your first time opening an electric iron, then in order for you to be able to open it, do your test, repair your fault, and then fix it back correctly, you would have to take note of where each cable is connected here. You can get a piece of paper and a pen, and then you note it on the paper as the cables are connected. So now we move ahead to remove the main cables. Okay, so we have disconnected all the cables. Now, one major issue when it comes to iron repair has to do with how to dismantle the iron to get access to the internal components. There is a way that each iron is fixed. Yours is just to observe the iron and then you have to figure out how the iron has been fixed. So when you are opening it, you take your time and then open it properly. Watch this carefully to help you as a guide. Okay, so here, so these 2 screws are holding the top part of the iron to the down part. Okay, so we remove these screws also. Okay, we are not done. You see that when you hold the iron, something must be holding it here. But how do we get access to that thing that is holding it here? When you raise it, it's not coming up. So obviously, there is another thing holding it somewhere at the midpoint. Okay, so the next thing is we will have to carefully remove the regulator. We will insert something flat under the regulator and gently raise it. Okay, and so there shows another set of screws, and we have to remove those also. Okay, so now it's raising, but it looks like something is still holding it at the end. Okay, looks like there is a locker there. There is a locker there. So we try to pull it back. All right. But okay, we have another one more plate to remove. There is a screw here. You have to take that screw off. Another one here. Another one here. Okay, so we separate this part from the sole. Okay, so now we have access to all the components of the iron. This thing here is housing the thermal fuse. Now, what happens is that current flows from here through the thermostat contact, through this strip to this side of the element. We also notice that the neutral or the blue wire was connected here. This neutral will have to pass through the thermal fuse and then come to this side of the element. So light goes through here and comes, the neutral goes through here and comes. If there is overheating and this thermal fuse has blown, then there will not be any continuity between this neutral line and then the element contact here. So the ion will not function. Okay. In the same way, this live is connected here and it has to go through the thermostat, come out here to the element. If there is any problem with this thermostat and the thermostat cannot close, then it means there will not be any flow of current to this element here. And so the ion will not work. The element itself would also have a problem. So if there is any break at any part of the element, it will also not function. We notice that the pilot lamp is connected between this and then this. All right, so as I said earlier, this light will need neutral and light to work. Okay, so the neutral that is connected to this terminal that passes through here will now serve as our neutral line to the lamp. Then live also is connected here and it passes through the thermostat, comes here. And so this becomes our live to the lamp. And so what happens is that the neutral that is connected here, the incoming neutral that is connected here, if this fuse has blown and that neutral is not continuous, this light will not come. The same way, this neutral line to the element, because it's off, the iron will not work. So the iron is not working and the light is not coming. So the light is not coming to tell you that the iron is not working. Then the middle one is for earth. All right. So basically, that is how the iron works, and those are the possible faults that the iron could develop. I have also shown you how to carry out tests to verify which part of the iron is faulty. And then you replace it. This one, you make sure you put the strips and the wires exactly where they were when we were removing them. You do it gently. All right. Okay, I think we are good to go. We put back the screws. Okay, so the next thing that comes is the top. Okay, then we put back the screws. Okay, so these long ones will come here. And we secure. Okay, so we will fix our cables back. All right, so here, this is our live cable to the pilot lamp. Okay, so the three at the middle will take live, neutral, and edge. So live, okay, next is edge, and the last is neutral. Then we have to clamp it back. Okay, so we bring the regulator. That is very important. When you are inserting the regulator, you should look at it very carefully. There is a slot inside the metal attached to the thermostat, and this part should enter into that slot. This hooks here will lock it from falling off. Okay, so it goes like this. Plug and see. Thermostat is working correctly. Okay, so we leave it on, and the thermostat is automatic. So when the iron attains a certain temperature, the thermostat will cut off on its own. And then, in case there is a very high temperature and the thermostat is unable to cut, then the thermal fuse will now blow. Okay, so now it's getting so heated, my hand can no longer remain there. All right, so the thermostat is off. So this will cool down to a certain temperature. When the temperature comes down to a certain level, then the thermostat will operate again. Thank you very much for watching this video. I will encourage you to subscribe to my channel and then wait for more of this. Some of these things, if you know how to do them, you can easily do them on your own at home. Thank you very much, and we'll meet another time.